Welcome back to another episode of Becoming More Me. I have been getting so much feedback, emails, comments on my stories or the audio from other podcasts that I've been on lately about ADHD. And I thought, it's time to come in here and talk about this because I have been in the realm of coaching and helping women on all different levels for decades. And I've only really recently brought that to the forefront, but it is a very big part of who I am and how I think. I was only just recently diagnosed when I was 42. It was about a year and a few months ago that I was diagnosed. And for me, it confirmed things I already knew, but I actually found myself a little bit, I don't know what it was when I got diagnosed. It's hard to put a finger on the feelings, really. It opened up the door to being able to try medication. It opened up the door to having a label. I also really dislike labels. So I don't know. It was 6 one way, half dozen the other, as far as feeling positive or negative. Really just kind of felt neutral about it. But all of my boys have ADHD. The only one that hasn't been diagnosed is Jordan. He's 5, so it's a little early. And I don't really, whatever. We have ADHD. The way I look at it, it's just hey, this is how our brains work. This gives us data for understanding that. And we have tons of ways to, see, there's my ADHD brain. I'm opening stuff up, making noise in the background, trying to do 2 things at once, record a podcast and check my notifications. it's just how it is. But it just, gives us information, and we can use that information to make better decisions. We can use that information to gain better knowledge and then learn ways to make it actionable. I have been learning so much just by, and it's so funny, I have been learning so much from the podcasts that I have been guesting on as an expert about ADHD. Seems kind of funny, right? Now, sure, I have a lot to lend to the subject and the modalities, techniques, the mindset, the perspective, all of those things that I embrace, teach, coach, and put out there are all ridiculously helpful for ADHD. And I credit them to my living with it and enjoying it and making the best of it every day. It's a huge part of it. But I'm also still learning so much because there's so much to learn. And when you have an ADHD mind, you love learning things. Oh my God, here I am again, just, making noise in the background. Okay. But there's always things to learn. I have a very curious mind. So it is not uncommon. I've always thought, gosh, it would be pretty funny to follow me around for a day and just see where all my thoughts actually take me. Because I'm there, I'm on the adventure, I am present on it. But for an outsider to see, maybe somebody asks me a question and then it leads to another thought, and then I'm Googling things, and then I'm buying something on Amazon, and then I'm making food, but I wanted to turn out a different way. So I'm Googling something else, or I'm trying something, or I'm getting my hands dirty in some new thing. And I'm finding ways to relate it back to what I do and how I coach and how I learn and how other people learn. And I'm getting excited. And it's almost like the appreciation rampages that I love so much and learn from Esther Hicks, where you start with one thing that you appreciate, and then you say another and another and another and another, and you just keep going and you keep going, and it keeps getting better, and there's more appreciation, and there's just more wonderfulness. And all of a sudden you've gone from feeling however you felt when you started, which might have been great, might not have been, but you feel a heck of a lot better. Even if that means you went from, great to grand, or if you went from not feeling good to feeling amazing, there's been a change. It's significant, it's noticeable, and you're glad you spent a little time in the vortex, feeling good and perpetuating that. That's how my mind is, I feel with everything. just one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. And on top of that, I have a lot of energy. And that's probably one of the first things that I wanted to address, was that I think people get misconstrued about the hyperactivity part of ADHD. So ADHD does have that. We don't really hear ADD anymore. It used to be back in the day, we had ADD and we had ADHD. So there was attention deficit disorder and there was attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. First and foremost, the disorder part, like why? I don't like when things get labeled as a disorder. It's like there's something wrong with me. It's not working the way that it should. I don't want my brain to work another way. I'm like, my brain is working in perfect order and I like it. I wouldn't wish away my ADHD. I wouldn't take a pill to cure it. Sure, I love being in flow state when I can get there. And sometimes when things are a little bit cattywampus and I'm all over the place, it's not fun. But I would imagine that even people that don't have ADHD have times when they feel aligned and times when they don't. And that's just part of life. So I embrace it. But I often hear people say, well, I don't know that I have it because I'm not hyperactive. And usually what they mean is they're not like energetic all over the place, physically hyperactive. But there is just as much of a tendency to have a hyperactive mind. Okay. You can sit in a desk chair all day and have a hyperactive mind and not be physically hyperactive. But the focus sometimes I think gets misunderstood. So it can be either way. And that mental hyperactivity, I think a lot of that for me shows up in the high functioning anxiety and in just having a very restless mind, in not really enjoying meditation where the idea is to just kind of keep clearing the thought over and over. I mean, I do, but I mean, I'm clearing thoughts like popcorn pops, whereas other people might be clearing thoughts. There's a thought. Okay. And now I'm clearing that thought away. And then they get like a little bit of time. I don't know, seconds, minutes. I've never really experienced it. And then, oh, hey, there's another thought. Like mine's like popcorn. Theirs is like clouds just floating by on a day when things are kind of mellow in the sky. So I wanted to just kind of talk about that first and foremost, because I think hyperactivity is sometimes only thought of as a physical thing. But it can also just be that you get bored easily, that stuff that other people can tolerate or even enjoy is just excruciatingly mundane, So I know I won't want to say I get bored easily because I'm never bored, but I will find myself going off somewhere mentally very quickly if I feel that something is mundane. Like I don't allow myself boredom, and we could do another show on that, but boredom is just not, I've always felt like bored people are boring. And when my kids come to me and they're like, I'm bored, I'm like, there's just no way it's just not possible. There's no way that I could ever be bored. Even if I was like in a dark room with nothing to do and it was pitch black, I would still not be bored. I would have a lot to think about. So yeah, there's that. And so for clearing the mind and getting things calmer, it can be a little trickier for those of us with ADHD. So sometimes it's helpful to do the 5 senses mindfulness exercise. Have you ever heard of that one? That's where you just name 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can hear, 3 things that you can feel, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 that you can taste. And it really does get you present. Now, y'all know EFT tapping is my main go-to for getting present. And I highly recommend that too. I mean, I like to say the main reason, there's so many big time reasons that I love EFT, but one of those big reasons was because it was like active meditation. I got amazing benefits from it. I felt great. I could kind of keep moving, keep doing things, fidget, and also feel very much that my calm was nurtured, my clarity was restored, that I was grounded, that I was present. Can't recommend it enough. And breath work is another great one for calming the ADHD mind. And if it's too hard for you, then, I mean, first of all, just taking deep breaths, but counting when you do it gives you something else to do. So if you're doing like 4s or box breaths or something, you can breathe into a count of 4, you can hold for a count of 4, you can breathe out for a count of 7, repeat, or whatever works for you. I sometimes feel like I can inhale a heck of a lot more than some of the counts want me to. So adjust it to what feels good, so that you're getting a really nice inhale through the nose and that you're not like feeling like you're going to blow up holding your breath, and you're getting a really full and clearing exhale also. That's important. Now, another one of my daily practices is appreciation, gratitude, journaling. I have a journal. I have many that I've filled. They are some of my favorite things to go back and read. And I've changed the practice and done different things over the years. But the one thing that has remained is that I always write down at least 3 things that I'm grateful for on that day. And there have been times when I've also combined it with prosperity exercises or affirmations or different like money magnet kind of things. It just depends on what part of life I was in, how I altered the exercise, but always it included writing down with pen and paper, unless I'm on vacation or I forget my journal, in which case I will do a temporary note in my Evernote doc, which I live and swear by. And then I will print it when I get home, cut it to size of my journal, and tape it in. It will still be part of my current journal, but sometimes you just gotta make concessions and go with the flow and figure things out when you don't have your journal, or when I didn't want to be burdened by it. I mean, it's a decent sized notebook. Sometimes you just want to pack light. So in those cases, I do allow myself to go digital, but like so many other things, when it's something meaningful, putting that pen to paper matters. It makes a big difference. And it really it does something in the brain and the mind that is significant. So gratitude and appreciation are huge for calming the mind too. And another thing that I just really love to do is move, to walk. If I start a day and I already know that I'm feeling restless, like I start and I'm almost kind of like agitated, and it doesn't happen often, honestly. I'm usually pretty grounded, or I just do like a round of EFT in front of the mirror while I'm washing my face, brushing my hair, getting dressed, that kind of thing. But if it still feels like, just ick and off, I get out the door as fast as I can and take at least a half-mile walk. I prefer a mile to a mile and a half in those circumstances, but sometimes I only have 5 or 10 minutes. So I'll look and I'll usually fit that into like those little windows in the morning, like between when my kids are getting up and leaving. I have these like little 20-minute windows that are sometimes harder to purpose for other things, but I can set a timer on my phone. Like if I get one kid out the door at, 20 of the hour, and the next one needs to get up at the next hour, and I know I have 20 minutes, I'll play with the dogs in the yard while one's leaving, put the puppy in his kennel, because I still can't trust him out in the house on his own, and get the dogs back inside. And then I will set a timer on my phone for 10 minutes, and I will walk as far away from my home as I can for 10 minutes. And then as soon as it goes off, I know it's time to turn around. And then I come back. Timers are an ADHD person's best friend, guys. And that was one of the things that I picked up on one of the podcasts I did. I doubt that it will have been released when this comes out, but it'll be coming out soon. I was a guest on Hacking Your ADHD with William Curb. And right when we got ready to start recording the podcast, after we had like our little green room chat at the beginning, he broke out this like, large, like 10 or 11 inch clock, and he turned a dial on it. And I was like, ooh, what's that? And it was a version of this. I bought myself one of the small ones. It's called a time timer. And basically you just turn it. He was turning it to like 30 minutes, I think, because that's what he likes his podcasts to be. So he just turned it to 30 minutes. And then what it does, it's visual. So if you're watching this on YouTube, then you can see me. I'm holding a time timer. But otherwise, when you turn the knob, it makes the amount of time that you want turn a different color. And then it starts counting it down immediately. You don't have to press any buttons or anything. It's like manual, it has a battery. It's kind of old school, but oh, it's perfect. And then it just starts ticking down. And when it gets to the time, let's see if it'll do it. I've already made enough noise in the background on this episode. Why not another noise, right? Will it do it? They'll like interrupt me here in a second when I start my next thought, because that's how things work with ADHD. That's it. So it was so easy. And so I just got it. I apparently need to learn how to make it happy and turn it off. But I love it and I love it a lot for when I'm getting my kids ready, or when I'm doing those little things where it's like, I know I only have 15 minutes and I really need to see that time to understand how much or how little of it I have, because ADHD minds and time, they're a little funky together. So I have been loving that since I got it. And it's just another one of those things, like I said, I've been learning so much from these episodes. So I was on his show. I was on with Danae Cannon on ADHD Crash Course. I did an episode with Adulting with ADHD. That's Sarah Castaneda Snyder. And there was another ADHD show I did. Oh, I don't remember, but there's been a lot. And I've also found myself on the shows of a lot of people that have it, but their shows aren't necessarily about it, but it definitely lends itself to their flavor and their show's essence. So I did a show with Melissa Churro, The Fully Mindful, and she has ADHD also. There's just a lot of amazing ADHD people in my circle, and I learn so much from all of them each and every day. And I've been honored to be on their shows. So, and they all have just great ideas around it. One of the best things about ADHD is that we are these unstoppable brainstormers. And that is a feature that I love. Now, once we actually do decide on an idea, sometimes we have a little trouble staying there and being focused in. And that's something that I have been challenged with throughout my years of being an entrepreneur, but also because of it, I've learned so many ways to do just that. So it's also another area where I'm really able to help people, because it's a struggle I really understand, and sometimes when we have so many ideas, the idea that we can only do one of them feels very restrained and constrained in a way that really blocks our energetic flow. So even though we need to focus in, dial in, narrow down, all of those things in order to get to the next stage of achievement or bringing something to fruition, the way we think about it, the way we believe about it really matters, because our brains don't like to hear, oh, okay, so you've made a decision and now you only get to do that forever. Like, that's what it feels like. It feels like, oh no, I can't have all the things. I can't Google this or think about this idea or whatever. And I have found it's very helpful to be like, okay, so I am going to pursue fill in the blank. And I'm also welcome to think about these other things. But right now I'm going to put my focus there. And sometimes for me, that looks like keeping a list, which I call future. And knowing that once I've nailed certain aspects of a project, then I can go back to that future list. The coolest thing about that is that a lot of times when I go back to that list, I no longer care about those things. And that confirms to me that it would have been buffering. It might have been a waste of my time, and that little bit of effort to walk away from it for a little bit, and it's noted. So I don't feel like I'm abandoning it. I don't feel like I'm like, you can't have that, you can't think about it, you can't do that. But it's kind of like, okay, I'm writing you down so I won't forget you, because that's something that ADHD minds worry about, is they're going to forget or not come back to something or not finish. And I'm putting it on this list where I don't have to come back to it. But again, I'm not going to forget that I was interested. So if and when I revisit it, I can make another decision then. So it's not end of story. It's just, this is my focus. And I can also have these things when the time is right. So that feels a lot better to me than the idea of constraining. I know I actually was doing some coaching at one point and talking to my own coach about it, saying, gosh, I have all these ideas and I feel like I need to constrain. Like that's what I need to do. And they're like, but how does that feel? I'm like, it feels awful. So from all of that and from working through my own thing, I came to that. I was like, we have to do things that feel good for us, even when it's working on things that are big and scary and have aspects that don't feel amazing. We need to do it in the way that's going to feel the best. And sometimes that also means making decisions for yourself here, now, in the present moment, realizing that you're going to need to carry them out in a future moment, and being able to remind yourself that the past version of you made this decision already with the best interests of future, now current version of you at heart. And that even if it's difficult, when you get to that time when it's time to really do the thing, you already made that decision for yourself. You don't need to make it again. You don't need to avoid it. You just need to do it. And those are the ways that we become proud of ourselves and that we reinforce good decisions, behaviors, whatever you want to call it. So that's another thing. Now, hey, before we continue with the episode, one quick question. Have you joined the Becoming More Me community on School? If yes, I'm so grateful for you. And if no, what are you waiting for? I have an amazing free community that houses over $15,000 worth of my most requested resources, things you can start digging into and using today, actionable resources to start changing how you feel and show up in your life. Things that are going to support you on your never-ending journey of becoming, and amazing community members to support you as well. Hop over to school.com. That's SKOOL.com/discovery and put my name in the search bar, Theresa Lear Levine. You will see the Becoming More Me community pop right up, and you can request to join from there. Inside of the community, you will find a full classroom of resources, as well as anything that you need in order to join my small group coaching or my one-on-one coaching. And I can't wait to see you over there. Again, go to www.school.com/discovery, type in my name, Theresa Lear Levine, and request to join the Becoming More Me community. I can't wait to see you there. I'm getting back to the ways that we can calm that hyperactivity and the things that really have worked for me and done wonders. I love smells. So essential oils or perfumes or even kitchen smells have been very helpful to me over the years. When I was just coming into meditation, when I was having insomnia and, babies that didn't sleep well, and just really felt like I could not get my feet on the ground underneath of me and feel grounded because I had so little control over anything, I learned about essential oils in new ways. I always knew about them. Well, not always. I mean, we always learn about something at some point, but in the early 2000s, I had my own handmade bath and body business. I did soy wax candles, over 140 different fragrances when soy wax was like really up and coming and such a better alternative to paraffin. And I also did handmade bath and body products. So moisturizers, salt scrubs, sugar scrubs, lip balms, all the things. And in a lot of my candles and bath and body things, I used essential oils. So I learned a lot about them back then when I was in my 20s. And then they came back around to me when I was in my 30s and going through all the things that I just mentioned. And it was during that time that a friend gave me some vials of things that she said were really helpful to her when she was going through something similar. And I kind of made that connection with my brain, my neural pathways and things to those fragrances. One of them was lavender, and another one was like this stress blend with some other things in it. But those for me are fragrances that I can now put on when I need calming. And it's like an instant signal to my brain and my nervous system that like, okay, we're going to calm down now. It's safe. This is happening. Let's get calm. And that's amazing. And I also have fragrances that really lift me up and boost me. And I'm actually planning on doing an episode. I was on Mom Bosses Abroad a few months back with Des and Eva, and they are both big into essential oils. And we were having this conversation about emotional freedom technique and incorporating that into it. So we're going to be doing a whole episode on that later on this summer. So if that is something that jives with you, stay tuned. I'll keep you posted on that one. But they definitely go very well together and are great ways to calm and ground yourself, as are baths, showers, a swim in the pool, or a hot tub if you have one. That kind of thing can really calm your mind. And a lot of those things, not necessarily like the pool or a hot tub, I mean, they can, but just I wouldn't put it in the water because that's more of like a larger body of water that gets treated differently. But you can put essential oils and fragrances into your shower. Sometimes I'll just put a few drops of something like in the corner of my shower, and it'll kind of diffuse as the hot water runs through the shower. And then you get kind of the best of both worlds that way. And another thing is, I think, with the whole being outdoors, I'm thinking like pools and things, is just getting your feet on the earth. I've talked about grounding before, but there are all sorts of things that happen to us as we ground that make a difference in our own physical feeling of grounding. So it's called earthing, or some people call it grounding, but basically it's just getting your shoes and socks off and getting that direct contact with our planet. And in doing that, Earth has a natural electric charge. So when we get in contact with it, it stabilizes us. And in doing that, it can reduce inflammation, pain, stress, hence the calming effect. We can find our blood flow is improved, our energy is better, we can sleep better, just greater well-being all around. So there are just a ton of things that earthing or grounding can really make a difference with. And, I mean, it's really cool. It's really easy. And it's one of those things that almost every area can be improved somehow by that direct contact. And I know I had done a thing at one point, I think it might have been like a reel on Instagram or something. I was just showing people that sometimes like I don't have the ability to get my shoes off and ground as much as I would like to. But you guys know I'm like a huge crystal fanatic. If you're watching again on YouTube, you can see like I always have my crystal collection behind me in my office. And I have a lot of small things. And if those kind of, I'll pick whatever's kind of calling to me at the moment. And If it's small, it's a bumblebee jasper. Isn't it gorgeous? Um, I'll just tuck them like in my bra. I'll just like throw it down my shirt in my bra, like somewhere off to the side. So it doesn't look like I have like a lumpy boob. Um, or like in the cleavage, something like that. Or wherever I can kind of get it against my skin and know I'm not going to lose it, if that makes sense. So depending on what you're wearing, that might be different. For me, I usually find my bra is the tightest garment that I have on with that won't lose something because, a lot of these things are expensive and I don't want to lose them. But much like grounding and getting our feet on the earth, this is getting part of our body against something that's natural and part of the earth that has energy, that has healing properties, and is very much worth putting up next to your skin and getting the benefit of. The same goes for, jewelry that's made out of natural stones and things. Those healing properties and things that you'll see associated with stones, that's kind of the same concept as earthing or grounding. It's very worthwhile. And, you can also just like if you're in a crystal store and you're looking at jewelry pieces or whatever, hold them in your hand, see what the energetic feeling is that you get when you touch it. It matters. And it's really, really cool. Now, I feel like almost anything, hyperactivity included, is calmed with laughter, made better with laughter. So whenever you have a chance to giggle or laugh or just do something that makes you enjoy the moment more, that is a great way to find calm and peace within your nervous system and everything else. When I was going through that same period of time where I was having the insomnia, I not only was reintroduced to essential oils, but that's when I originally learned about binaural beats. And that's something I listen to so often. There are binaural beats for sleep. There are binaural beats to re-energize you. Pretty much whatever outcome you're looking to create, there is a binaural beat for it. And I've been amazed. I mean, I don't get any kickbacks or anything from recommending them, but whenever I've had friends that are, dealing with insomnia or have kids or whatever, I'm like, have they tried binaural beats? I mean, really the only thing you need is a YouTube account and a set of headphones because something's going into the left ear differently than it's going into the right ear. And that's how the beat, so to speak, is created. And, it's so simple, but yeah, they were a lifesaver for me. I often will, if I wake up too early in the morning or earlier than I'd like to, and I have a little bit of time, I'll do ones that are set up like what they call a coffee nap, where you're kind of like starting off low and bringing yourself up into that energetic level. And then when it's done and like little ding happens at the end, like I am ready to get up. The same goes with hypnosis. I'm a huge proponent of hypnosis. I love doing self-guided hypnosis tracks. And I also see I see a psychiatrist that does hypnosis regularly. I find great benefits to getting those messages into the subconscious mind. It's very calming. It's feels like an amazing nap, even if you never are actually asleep. You'll swear you are. And it's such a great way to calm. And it's another thing that you can find a ton on YouTube or like reach out and ask me. I have favorites for sure. And all of those things are just so incredibly helpful at calming. And of course, like I said, there's tapping and there's talking. If you've got something on your mind that has you in that unregulated state of hyperactivity and just feeling kind of off, talk to a friend, talk to your spouse, talk to somebody at the grocery store, whatever floats your boat. And if it's not weird, tap while you're talking. I always tell people, like, if you're looking for something easy to do, just tap your collarbone. Or there's places on our body that relate to EFT tapping, emotional freedom techniques tapping, that are so natural for us. The collarbone's one of them. It's pretty common for people to kind of reach their hand up and kind of rub around or whatever. So tapping is pretty natural. Our temples, like how many times do you find yourself stressing out about something and you're like rubbing your temples, or like that's like I've got a headache, rubbing the temples, or wringing our hand. There's all sorts of spots that we use in EFT that are stimulated when we wring our hands. So So much of this stuff is intuitive, it is natural, and it's also another reason why working on your intuition is so important, which is one of the big things and big benefits that people get when I work with them is they start trusting that inner voice more. They start listening to that gut feeling more. And because of that, they start showing up differently and getting different results in their life. It's amazing. And it seems, again, so simple, so intuitive, but I can't tell you how many people hear that voice day in and day out, or have heard it for their entire lives and have been telling it to shut up, go away, turn itself off, or I'm not listening to you. And it's one of the biggest mistakes that people make that doesn't need to be made. So, folks, I think that's enough information for one day. And if you're an ADHD brain like me, you have a lot to geek out on there. And I really do welcome your questions and your insights, your favorite ways to calm down if you also have hyperactivity, and all the things. But I really just wanted to take some time today and to give you some resources, some ideas around this, and also kind of an understanding of the H, because it's a highly misunderstood age, and it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be at all. So if you have any other insights, please reach out, share them with me, and I will look forward to hearing from you. And see you on another episode next week. Thanks for listening. Have an awesome day. Thanks for spending some of your precious time with me today. If you loved this episode, please leave a review or simply share it with someone else who would get great benefit from it too. If you share on social media, please tag me so I can personally connect and thank you. Until next time, keep taking bold and brave steps towards becoming more of who you want to be in this world. You are capable, you are worthy, and you are enough. And if your inner critic is still trying to argue with those facts, hit me up. We've got work to do.